But yeah, let me talk about season 7 of The Flash, boy.
Yeah.
And
The,
and what went wrong.
the eternal cringe that is the Flash from since season like 4. Uh,
Boy. And here's the thing, I believe we've covered some or most I should say, if not all of the seasons of The Flash ever since it came out, right? I
yeah.
remember you in particular loving season one. I
Honest,
did as well.
don't
Yeah,
a borderline masterpiece like compared to what came later.
yeah, agreed. And like I've I don't want to say I'm the biggest fan of the Arrowverse, right?
Yeah.
But the issue with the Arrowverse, though, for me, is the same issue that befell, Smallville, by the way, right? And
Right.
I would see stuff like Supernatural, which I was kind of rocking with for a little while, and then I was like, all right, how much seasons is this? Okay, I
Yeah.
done, right? Because
Yeah.
that thing went on to 15, surely. That went on to 15, and this came out around the time when I thought that Smallville was going to wrap up because I will never forget this way, Ricardo. Like I went in, like I kind of jumped in a little lead to Smallville, right? But I was
Right.
watching good. And I told myself, all right, season 5 is when it's going to end, right? It's going to end at season 5, right? Because I think there was this sort of big sort of apocalyptic event that was going to happen or something like that. And then the event kind of came and went, and the show just continued going. I'm like, well, why though? And you
Yeah.
just saw the quality just deteriorate from there. And it
Yep.
went on and on and on until season 10. And then that finale come, and I was just like, wait, so
Yeah.
all that build up. And you even bothered to show me Tom Welling in the Superman suit. You just show me like a little glimpse, and that's it. That's what
That
we
was
all wait for. And that was
yeah.
it. That was it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, I fully agree. Smallville are showed. Yeah, that's the problem with network television, especially small time cable network television like the CW and well back then the WB. Yeah, they had to water that down. They had to water down that whiskey, right? Um, that's the main problem. They have to figure out a way to get this to be more than 10 seasons and justify its existence way longer than it should be, and that's basically the problem.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
CW, but you see, in the case of the CW, they kind of have less of an excuse because, in my opinion, I find they could always build and spin off shows, and they like just absolutely refuse to do that. They just don't want to. They just don't want to like do the stuff that require them to like make more material. So they just spend time on the show itself. And look, it's understandable you do something like that. I get it because it's like you don't want to start a new show is a risk, kind of, but it's clearly the mindset of a pre-internet age, or I should say pre-streaming age television. That's how I just think about it. And the Flash had the least excuse because to me they could have really like sit down and make the Flash smart and work, and just have it be a core like 6 seasons, have it work now. The show should have had 6 seasons, right? They had a plan, and they were setting that up since season 1, and then they drop it because Batman v Superman didn't work out, right? That's kind of what happened, as far as I understand it. That to me, that's how it came across. Like what happened? They just sat down. They just kind of drop it, and yeah, the show just started stop making goddamn sense after a while. Like it's a real shame.
Yeah, exactly, right? But so I'll just kind of jump into my all right level. Okay, so I'll just get this out the way one time, guys. Um, right about now, the Flash is an anime. The Flash
Yeah,
is an anime right now, and I'll actually explain why.
well, see, some real Power Rangers too. That was
We'll get to the Power Rangers stuff in a bit. You get the Power Rangers stuff in a bit, right? So what I mean that is an anime now, right? Um, so surface level, right? This show reached a point where, yes, now I'll confess, right? I mean, the cast is very likable, very charming, very charismatic. You like Grant Gustin, right? You like Candice Patton. I mean, who doesn't like Candice Patton, right? I know that's some people who don't, but I mean, who doesn't, right? You like
yeah,
Daniel Panabaker, Carlos Valdez, and Tom Cavanaugh and Jesse Elmart. You like them, right? You like when you see them. You like when they do the things and they just smile and all kind of stuff. You like that, right? And it's shown like very, very subtly knows how to kind of make you like and care about these. Well, I shouldn't say care. I'll get to that in a bit. Make you like these characters. As for caring about them, though, that's where they drop the ball, boy. Because yes, as much as I like Cisco, as much as I like Caitlin and Barry and Iris and them and things like that, when I'm constantly seeing these characters being thrown in situations where I could tell myself, okay, by the third act, they're gonna figure something out, and then they're gonna be back to normal. Like there's no stake in anything, there's no tension or anything like that. It's just like, well, yeah, I mean, I like seeing them and whatnot. I like the characters, but you're not giving me a reason to care. And the only reason why I should care or should force myself to care is because it's characters that you literally grew up with, and that's the excuse. You grew up with them from season one or whenever they were introduced, and they spent so much time making it like them and all that. So by the time now
Yeah,
when it reaches here, it's just like, well, yeah, I like all there, but still, I don't care about what's going on. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And also,
yeah,
that's like very similar to like anime. Like I would say that like sorry, like I'm a Bleach fan, but I just seen Bleach for example, right? You know what I mean? Like you have all these great characters, but remember there was a point in time where it was just filler after filler after filler. This is
yeah,
what season 7 is. It's a filler season. That's what it is. But the excuse is, well, is Flash. And you're like, Flash, look, Iris. And you're like, Iris. You know what I mean? And that's the excuse that they keep throwing at you, right? Second reason why I call this thing an anime boy, because through some weird reason, right, this season actually consists of 4 acts.
okay,
And the arcs themselves are called graphic novels, right?
okay,
Which, when you think about it, is kind of clever, right? So it's like, all right, I could dedicate like a third of the season on this arc, and I could dedicate another third to this. I could just kind of call it a graphic novel like that. No, but I don't know, between you and me, Ricardo, that does sound very something like in anime when you have filler arcs to slow down the big arc of what's going on, and that's like a trick they just do. They'll give you like a 3-4 episode story and then jump
yeah,
into the real thing afterwards. That's an anime thing, right? Right or wrong?
a little bit, yeah, yeah, kind of, a little bit, yeah, yeah, sometimes,
Right,
some,
right, right. Yeah.
yeah,
So just jumping into the episodes themselves, right? I'm not gonna do episode by episode. I won't do all that, right? But yes, it's understandable how COVID affect season 6, so they had to stop, and literally we had to wait till this season started to get the last 3 episodes of oh gosh, the where the villain was the Mirror Master, Eva McCullough, right? Who
right,
is still, in my opinion, the worst villain that we've ever gotten in the show thus far. Like I thought, oh gosh, the Tinker was bad. Like
okay,
anybody remember the Tinker?
yep, it was
Yeah,
incredibly
like
dis.
like sorry, Mirror Monarch, right? That's show
Oh,
how forgettable she is, right? But yeah, the Tinker had so much promise, and then he ended up just being some terrible villain, right? But yeah, Mirror Monarch is without a doubt the worst villain that we've ever gotten in this show, by. And yeah, they just kind of had to wrap things up basically. So the thing with Iris and the Mirrorverse, and
right,
long
yeah,
story short, it just kind of ends up with Tom Cavanaugh's character. Well, he's not like the real Wells, but he's Nash Wells.
that's right.
Leaving.
I was
Yeah.
following, right, kind of following Nashville. Okay, no problem.
Right. So it ends with him leaving, but in the process, Barry lost his powers. I can't remember how, because that was in last season, but he
Right,
kind of gets his powers back because Nash
right.
sacrifices his life, his
It was
essence basically was him and all the other wells from the other Earths or whatever it is. So they all kind of give their essences in a sense to revive the Speed Force. I'll get to the Speed Force in a bit. So now
yeah.
Barry can get his powers, and well, Nash dies, so to speak, and that's it. So okay, moving on. So you said he was following that up, right?
No, no, yeah. I say I was vaguely familiar with what's going on, kind of.
Right,
Like
right, right.
I remember last season, and then I listen. I literally not watch a single episode this season, but I was just kind of familiar with last season stuff. And just like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They could like do so and so, and I know Barry lost his powers, but he get back somehow because he had to recreate his speed force last season. That's the whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. So that's right. That's the first graphic novel, right? And then we have the next one called God Complex. Oh, I've got to mention the first one is called Reflection and Lies, right? For those who actually care, right? So God Complex basically all right, so I'll confess I am not a fan of the Flash comics, right? So for what I know, they usually draw on the comics themselves, like the New 52 stuff, for ideas, right? So I think this one in particular was an idea where basically the Speed Force is materialized as, the Speed Force itself is a being now, right? And it just so happened to look just like Nora. That would be Flash's mom, who deceased,
Right.
and yes, is the actress who played Nora, right? So wow, she get some money, right? Cool. So now apparently now there's in the process of like restarting the Speed Force now, it have other characters who have different forces as well. Um, sorry, is three people basically have different forces, right? And they try and imply that, oh well, Barry created them, so this is basically Barry and Iris's children, basically. That
Right.
they try to spin it to sound like that, and it kind of makes no sense because like the powers themselves kind of go into different people, but the people themselves had powers before. One in particular is this Latina woman called I forgot her name, but basically she turns into like this sort of Hulk, like this sort of She-Hulk character called Furza, right? And when we talking about Power Rangers graphics, when we talk about VFX in this show, boy, that
Bro.
Furza character, you could Google it right now, is probably like the worst looking thing I have seen in Flash ever, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
You're right.
Like,
You're right.
okay, I know when like in Supergirl, for example, when you do like aliens and they just look all weird and stuff, or monsters, all right, okay, I understand that, right? But when you're doing somebody who, like a human being who literally turns into a She-Hulk, right? And you expected me to buy into this oddly, shaped creature that looks so bad. It looks like something out of like a sci-fi original movie. And you
Yeah.
want me to buy into the fact that yeah, this person turned into that, and you want me to buy into that. I like no, stop it right there, right? So yeah, that whole arc is just basically about just Flash meeting these individuals who have these powers. One in particular able to move through time. He could slow its speed time up, all kind of different things. Next
Yeah.
person, he's the villain who goes by Psyche. He's able to go into people's memories and freak them out with the nightmares, all kind of stuff, right? So that's that.
Right.
Then we have the interlude now. So this basically is this was one of the reasons why I wanted to watch a season in first place, right? Yeah, this is where they say goodbye to Carlos Valdez, right? So yeah,
Right.
because
So go leave the show.
Cisco decided he wanted to leave, right?
I read that, but I didn't. I
Yeah,
didn't see.
right. And I'll admit, like like it's a three-part episode, but I will admit though the final episode for that, which by the way is directed by Daniel Panabaker, right? I thought
Right.
it was really good. It was really good. It was a nice send off to him, right? But I'll talk about him in a bit because yeah, I had to bring up spoilers, right? They have some other story arc going on with Cecile. I remember she's an empath now, so there's this thing where it's some psycho version of her who have her trapped in some kind of weird mental dimension thing, and none of that made any sense. None of that I even cared about. When it came to Joe, who is played by oh gosh, who is played by Jesse
Just
L. Martin. There's
yeah.
this subplot involving some superior who comes and she have this thing for Killer Frost because she believes that she's a menace and trying to get her arrested. And
Yeah. Weird.
so Killer Frost gets arrested now. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't worry, I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna wrap up synopses and stuff like that a bit, right? So they do a thing now where Killer Frost and Caitlin are separated now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so they do the whole mirror thing. So yeah, Danielle in the same shot played two characters, right? And I'll admit it looked cool. It looked cool, but it brings up the whole idea of why do this in the first place, right? Like why split both personalities, right? And then they had the goal to have this subplot with she now with Killer Frost now, trying to bring down some guy who works at some bar who have ice powers as well too, but they're all trying to play it off like he's some kind of hunk and all that kind of stuff. Like there's moments with him shirtless and sure enough he's six pack and all that kind of thing. There's a cringy moment where like he literally takes off his shirt in the bar and they play Nelly's Hot in Her thread. Swear to God, they play Hot in Her for Killer Frost, right?
you know you're old, eh?
Yeah. This is where we at. This is where we at, right?
Showing
And the
me.
real, yeah, the real try to play this thing like, oh, she real like him because he hot and all that kind of stuff. It's like
Yeah.
they don't even have any chemistry. Like, what? Why are you doing this, right? The point is, that seem superior, that seem police officer, whoever she is, who start getting into Killer Frost business though. Get she arrested now, and then she end up in Iron Heights. And then literally 2 episodes later though, through some circumstances, she break out of prison. She and
Correct.
the other guy break out of prison. So now she back. I will talk about that too, right? So moving on. So final arc now. This one I'll admit to is the best out of all of them, but that's really not saying much too. This is the Godspeed Imperative, and this is where we finally, I think finally, because it's so much going on in the show, where we like finally see the where Godspeed comes into the picture at long last now, and we actually see who he is and all that kind of stuff.
Back in the
They
picture. They didn't
All
have
right,
God.
back in the picture. Oh yes,
Wait,
yes, he
he
was
didn't
there,
have
right?
he's an earlier season. I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I was trying to remember if that was like the actual Godspeed or if it was somebody else now, because they do the whole okay, well, it's a different timeline or some kind of crap like
Right.
that, right? And speaking of
Yeah, well,
timelines now,
that was before Crisis anyway. So
right, right, exactly. And speaking of different timelines now, hey, McGill Nora comes back, right? She's there, right?
what's
And
up?
then also, well, we introduce the character of Bat. So yeah,
Okay, they're about
yeah,
Alan. Okay,
right,
cool.
yeah, Bart Allen, from the comics, he comes into the show. And I want like the guy who plays him, his name escapes me right now. I thought he was good. Like he
Right.
had
I
he
saw
had the look, he had the
I saw a
charm.
few
He had it.
pictures. I saw a few pictures with him online, but I didn't see him in action really. And I was like, hey, he looking okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I like the suit. I like his
yeah,
charm. You know what I mean? It's very teenager, like be real Gen Z kind of vibe about him. But I like that about it, right? And yeah, essentially it's just okay, so they have this subplot now involving the possibility of Iris being pregnant, right? And he was
right.
Barry was thinking, oh, so is Nora gonna be born? But when he sees Bart, it's like, wait, so I have two children, right? But
Yeah.
then they just kind of just drop everything now and say, well, yeah, actually Iris isn't pregnant. Wah wah wah, right? So, but yeah, these two kids are still there. They were trying to stop Godspeed in the future, but they come in the past because Godspeed come and some kind of really really convoluted stuff involving trying to find the true speedster with the true powers, and it turns out to be bad for reasons. They actually bring back oh gosh, the old the OG Flash as well too. um
Right. Well,
yeah.
where he is in this timeline.
Well, oh right, well that's John Wesley Ship. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't come from the same timeline that Nora and Bart did. He came from somewhere else. 'Cause apparently, in Nora and Bart's timeline, he died actually, right? So it's like that. So he came from somewhere different or something like that, right? But they they actually do they actually bring back Eobard Tornhurst like in the final episode, right? And while I did like that, I like the idea that they brought him back. At the same time, I was like, but this is like the final episode, right? There was no real build up to it, and he just kind of comes and does his thing. But you're like, well, yeah, why so late though?
Right.
And also, just again this show and making you feel emotions now, and then 2 episodes later, they just kind of tell you, well, that happened, but now the character back. They actually bring back Cisco Dread for a
Okay.
couple appearances in this final arc now, and you're like, but a few episodes ago, you were like, he had to leave and he had to go with his girlfriend Camilla to some other state. Well, spoiler, he actually goes to work for Argus, right? He got a recommendation to work there or something like that, right? So he goes there now. Oh yeah, John Diggle's there as well too. He got a cameo as well, and they didn't even like bother to explain the whole Green Lantern thing, except in the end where it's like, oh yeah, well something happened and still try to figure out what it is. Like, dude,
Listen,
here was an opportunity. You could have bring up the Green Lantern. You could have bring it up there. Didn't even do
he
it.
get. You see what they dance around this green lantern. I think that means he get that green lantern. Them in the studio tell Flusher. He get that green lantern. The mere fact they do it by now, they should do it by now.
Yeah,
My boy don't get that green lantern. I'm sorry. The girl I like here, but he get that green lantern.
yeah, boy. I feel so sorry for him, because I mean, Arrow ended just so.
Right.
What is there for him to do? you know?
Yeah, they had to get the girl something.
Yeah. So to jump into this review here. Oh, before I forget, right? They do elongated man duty, boy.
Okay, right. Well, the fella, some so he get cancelled. So I remember that. So
Yeah. So
what does God do with
Yes, no, what they do, right? So apparently they had like a stand in there, but he was dressed like him. But he had like a mask on. The idea that he received like these 2 degree burns or something like that on a case. Because remember in the last season he was working with this thief, this female thief, right?
Yeah,
Professional thief,
yeah,
whoever it is, right? And then they
right,
become partners basically, right? So she comes in and she's there for a few episodes, right? So yeah, she was talking about how he went through 2 degree burns, so he had to wear this mask. So he's recuperating in this suit now. So it's just basically this guy with a mask on, but like the person's voice is meant to sound like him, like Plastic Man, but it's not him. I like wow, but like that was wow, wow,
right.
that was brutal. That was brutal. Yeah, so to jump into my honest thoughts on this show, right? So again, like I say, yes, where the show really shines though is just well, two things. One, having these really likable characters, right? You like to see them on screen. You like when they do their things. You like when they figure things out. I forgot to mention this guy. Oh gosh, Chester P. Runk. This guy who was introduced in the last season. This black guy. I actually like grew to like him. No, yeah, he was like really cool. He's the replacement of he's Cisco replacement basically, right? That's what he there for.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
black color. Yeah, I know it.
yeah, and
Right.
they had a couple of nice moments with his backstory and about his dad and all that kind of stuff now. So yes, you like the characters and all that kind of stuff, right? The vibe of it, right?
No pun
Sort
intended.
of, yeah. Right, yeah, exactly. I do appreciate and respect, right? Because not every show has to be woke like Black Lightning or or grim or dark like say a Batwoman or Arrow, right? This one is more upbeat, right? So you can watch it and you feel that optimism there, what I mean, like good will always triumph, right? That's the vibe of it, right?
Yeah,
And at times it could come off a little corny and stuff, but it's the Flash, right? I mean, what other way could the show play out, right? And that's why people really like the show. I mean, I won't lie. That's why I tune into it, right? But now though, it's just this show is just spinning on its wheels. It just really don't know where it's going. The
right.
mere fact that you all have this 18 episode run and all this split up into 4 arcs makes no sense to me. Personally, I felt the whole Godspeed thing could have been the major arc in everything, and it could have bring up the whole stuff about the possibility of Barry and Iris eventually having kids and all that kind of stuff. That could have been established from day one. Instead, you're coming halfway and bringing this thing up as something that I supposed to stop to care about, right? Um, Also, yes, even though yes, though many characters are likable, that don't mean that every man Jack needs a story arc, Dread. And
Yeah,
every man Jack gets a story arc in this Dread. And some of them are just flat out dull, um, just uninventive, just boring, just numbingly bad. You know what I mean? Like Allegra, for example, a new character came in last season. She gets this arc, and I didn't care. I didn't care about Joe's arc. I didn't care about Cecile's arc. Caitlin, I didn't care for her, right? And oddly enough, and a lot of fans will say this, right? You didn't really get enough of Barry in this too. Like
yeah,
Barry is usually pushed to the sidelines because everybody had to get an arc, right? And it's like, but no, at the end of the day, it's about Barry. Like, I don't care what going on with Cecile and some
right.
psycho version of herself and whatever it is and all these things. And
And
also, go
I
on.
heard back that Grant Gustin's contract is up. So
Oh wow! Oh, the plot
today,
thickens.
yeah, we know what's going on.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's it.
and
Yeah, well, US had to probably take over.
yeah, and they say it have an 8th season, but they didn't say the is the final one though. So huh.
Hmm.
Interesting, right? Yeah. But yeah, everybody did not need to have this dull, boring arc that just adds nothing to the overall story. I did not like the structure of the season at all, splitting things up into four and just having like these random adventures of, what I mean, instead of just having like this full story, right? And I mean, yes, it's a CW show, what I mean, so you kind of come to expect sub, sub um subplots going on, you know what I mean? But at the same time, to have something major that's going on, have something to anchor everything there. Not just have one story and then it ends, and then have something else comes up, and then bring something up from before, and you expect me to care or remember. Like literally, I was watching this thing out over like about a 4 or 5 days, Dread, and it was because I tried to watch it by story arc now.
Right.
And it was kind of rough. It was rough because again there was moments I just didn't care for, character arcs I didn't care for, things I just didn't care for at all. Um, what else? But really, do I felt like the whole the whole Godspeed stuff should have been the major thing, then you could have just pulled everything else from there. Even the whole Speed Force family thing, right?
Right.
Wherever it is, yeah, that could have been an offshoot of what's the bigger picture and the bigger arc piece. But no, they just want to have its own thing, and then they didn't want to bring it up near the end of the season, and it just made no sense at all, Dread. And last though, them visuals, boy. Sorry,
Yeah.
the VFX. Okay,
Yeah.
when it comes to speedster stuff, right? When it comes to speedster stuff, okay, we can let it pass, right? Yes, we know the is the same overhead shots, same shots of Flash running. We know. But when they just try to just do other things like the Forza character, for example, or like what they were doing with the other God speeds and whatnot, Dread, it's just some Saturday morning Power Rangers stuff, Dread, and it looks bad, Dread. It looks bad.
Yeah.
I
Listen.
just kind of wondering if like clearly the budget going to Superman and Lois, right? Like
Yep.
clearly
Exactly what happened.
that
As I
that
said,
is exactly it,
they,
right?
they had a chance to end the show, and they didn't end the show. So that's the price they pay. Because see, Black Lightning, they read the room, right? Do the
Yeah,
thing.
4 seasons come out, boom.
Yeah, you don't expect. I'd expecting them to do nothing special. Like yeah, clearly the Superman and Lois show they go and spend all the money on. So it's like
Yeah,
yeah, we expecting going forward. You could
and
now you
and
could complete, but that is the show. So it's
yeah,
like
and a sorry, Dre, like if even if you call yourself the biggest fan of Flash Red, you still cannot excuse some of these visuals though. These visual effects, sorry, like it's just some straight up like just
yeah,
bargain basement effects, Dread. And you're wondering why in season 7, why this is the case, Dread. Like for me, it's like, all right, if you know you want to design the She-Hulk character and look like trash, just don't have the character there at all, period. Just don't have the character at all. Like don't just have it and just make me buy into it because it's the Flash, man, and you're not supposed to take it so seriously, man. Like, come on, man, Dread. Like people actually take it time to sit down and watch a show and this is what you're giving us, Dre. Like they're not even gonna put any effort into that, man. Come on. But
yeah,
yeah, as I said before, this is an anime. This season itself felt like an anime where it was just like a bunch of filler arcs just there for the sake of being there. And even worse though, because like when it comes to anime, you think more of episodes and not so much seasons now. So like when you have an arc, it might run for 3 episodes and then you will jump into the thing. But you're not thinking, oh, this is the new season, whatever it is. It's just part of the whole thing now. But yeah, this one just felt like it was just a bunch of ideas they had on the cutting room floor, and they were just like, all right, well, let me just stop this thing here, and then we put this thing here. And of course, yes, they mentioned stuff about Crisis, but you would think that it would have followed smoothly from Crisis. Like, I specifically, like, I don't know if I'm the only one who remember this, right? But remember, they actually created not a Super Friends, and they created like a Justice League of sorts
but the
at the
scrap that
end of Crisis, and they just,
you realize how DC does move on. DC is a group of a company that don't care when they're ready. Yeah, by the time I see that Superman on the show, the way it was in terms of production value, I was like, yeah, everything else gonna get sharp hard, real hard, right? And
yeah, yeah,
Black Lightning are them people that tell this how much they see the greasy bottom and the bust up. They worry,
yeah,
they worry. I think about, and as I said with the material, we knew eventually this would happen because the problem is that there's no way you could have a particular aesthetic and have it play out that badly. That's the problem. In the end of the day, right? The simple problem is that Batman v Superman went off the rails. That was the problem. They didn't take that into account. So them thought things would have been okay now. They had to hold the fort for a hot minute now because all of DC was like in the ground now. When Batman v Superman come out now. So they couldn't reference it. They didn't know what they was doing with the movie people. And then now the movie people catch themselves and now they had to rehold themselves and they're trying to get a second chance. That's how the whole thing come across to me. In my opinion, the mistake was catering to that. That is a mistake. It's a DC
right.
problem in general. DC have the ironic problem of being like have the exact opposite problem of Marvel. So like remember everybody always thought, oh, how come DC make this shit everything under one roof? That is actually really misleading in terms of like how the contracts work and why this work the way it does. So that's why these shows be so troublesome. And I thought it takes so goddamn long for goddamn so much to come with because they didn't think they thought the movie people could have be stitched with the contract now. Right? The
Yeah.
thing that we thought Marvel was guilty of, DC ended up being guilty of ultimately, right? Because of internal, lawyer shenanigans, right? Whatever. As I say, I thought the mistake was just not catering to some simple flash core stories where it didn't really matter if stuff work out or not. That's the main thing. Don't depend on the stuff. Just do your story. If the shit work out, it work out. And them do that. Them want to leverage off bullshit. It just end up in a bit because them still fight down like having we call it Ezra Miller in the story all kind of nonsense. Like, yeah, dog, only have time for this. Only write a Flash movie yet, but you have Ezra Miller showing up in other people's things. Flash
You
movie
know.
right yet, right? That finish yet? Only still have a script at all. You know what's going on?
I
I
don't know. I see a poster. That's all I saw, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was saying, them men put the cart before the horse. But you see, that's the problem with DC internal structure. It was always I assume. So look, what am I tell you? Nothing about the surprising. Nothing about the surprising. Nothing. Not a single thing
Yeah.
surprising or
And
interesting.
right. And if I got to say two more things though, just quickly, because I spent too long on this, right? Yeah. So, but what does really make it like insufferable to sit through by is two things, right? One, as I said before, no stakes, no tension. You kind of know by the end of the episode they're gonna get through this one way or the other. If they have a to be continued, okay, right? But still, you kind of know they're gonna get out of this situation because if they believe in this and they believe in love and love overcomes everything and all that kind of stuff, I don't want to come off cynical and whatnot, but still, like we like as a viewer you really want to feel like okay, like if this thing don't work it could mean the end of everything, Tread. But when you literally have characters who just kind of figure things out immediately right on the fly and they just excuse it as, oh well, they're smarter than you, that's how they know what to do. Case in point, we kind of let it slide with Cisco, like, oh, mean if we make this thing and with the tachyons and the blah 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 we could get through it, right? But I swear in this season, like maybe it's something that's been happening for the past few as well, right? It's like every man Jack know how to solve a problem. Dread. Everybody will come through with some equation, some this, some that, and boom, problem solved, right? Just figure it out, right? And it's it's part nonsensical and part, oh, it's flash. So I guess, all right, well, I guess they had to do it so because money and budget, right? That's that. And then also to all right, it's seven seasons, right? Like, forgive me, a connoisseur of so much content, right? But when you have all these callbacks to, oh, remember when this character did this back then, and when this character said this back then, I now have to do this mental like work now and just try to remember, wait, when was this? When that happened? When that happened? When that happened? Even right now to just have the show just kind of start and you start to remember, oh, that what the character do and this is what going on, blah 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 blah, right? Simple storytelling, guys. Like, okay, you understand? Yes, it's seven seasons and all that kind of stuff, but don't think that every man Jack gonna remember every single thing that happened. Have a simple little line or whatnot, just kind of stating, or at least show me exactly. Oh, this is what happened, or this is how things are. Instead of me now having to remember, oh, what this guy did and when this person was in speed force and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not that big of a fan. I'm not that invested in the series itself to have to remember all these things. Like, I'm not a nerd when it comes to these things, and I imagine a majority of fans who call themselves diehard not even like that too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just a lot. It's just too much of all your pouring that mention. You know what I mean? So as you see, we 10 pounds of shit in a but in a 10 pounds of shit in a 5 pound bag. Dread. That's literally what the season was. Dread. It just lacked focus. It was just all over the place. It was just a bunch of callbacks and cues. And you're just there kind of wondering why the show even why the show still going on, Dread. Like, it could have wrapped up, Dread. Last thing I'll say before I get to return, what I thought the CW was doing with these shows now, I thought like All right, so we had Flash, we had Arrow. So the spin-off shows, the Legends of Tomorrow, the Black Lightnings, they're gonna continue on when our shows come to an end. But no, Arrow came to an end. Um, I think that's it right now. Well, Supergirl's wrapping up by taking its sweet time to do it. And so far, it's just Arrow and Black Lightning. And Black Lightning was just a spin-off, basically. Well, not really. It was his own thing, but it didn't even last long. But the point is, shit like this is supposed to wrap up by now and it's still going, and you could say, but the fan base, people love this show so much. And yet when I go on YouTube right now and I search season 7 for this,
It's
everybody's
trash.
saying the same thing as the worst season, and I will agree too, it's the worst season, right? And not worst in like it's horrible and you can't watch it. This horrible in terms of how misguided it is, how it just feels like it's just aimless right now, just throwing a bunch of arcs that you felt could have just been in other seasons, and just not getting you feel like this is going to end, like this is going to come to an actual full stop. It's just gonna go on because the fans love it, man. We love Iris, we love Barry, right? But by now, I sorry, but I am just tired and I am less enthusiastic to see, this upcoming season, Dread. So for me, rating wise, strong tutor, very light 2.5 out of 5, man. This is just me being charitable, Trent. If you're fun and you're curious, check it out. I'd actually recommend watching the final, 4 episodes. Cause that's the one where they bring in, Nora and Bart. That one really does feel like it. This one really feels like it belongs. Everything else, like the whole Speed Force materialize, and the children of Barry and all that stuff made no sense. I couldn't care less about Mirror Monarch at all. And as much as I appreciate the send off of that they give to Carlos Valdez, to have him come back in like a appearance is just like, well, you know,
It was the point.
you set him up and tell him that he coming back, and look, he did. And same
Yeah.
thing that they do, last thing before I move on, same thing they do to Tom Cavanaugh as well too. Okay, yeah, this
Well,
was his send off as well too, and then like 2 episodes later, yeah, he back. And then in the final
well,
episode, this one, Yuba torn, right? So it's like,
yeah, but
all right, well,
the problem with
I
Tom
mean,
Cavanaugh,
Tom Cavanaugh gonna be there, but he just gonna make brief appearances. Same with Carlos Valdez, but why make it out as if I'm never going to see them again? Stop manipulating me, Flash. Stop it.
yeah, yeah. But in the case of Tom Cavanaugh, he play multiple characters, so he'll really sure it's not a thing. Like whatever. As I said, I felt that they wasted a show. To me, they should already like sit down and work out a proper season 5 and 6. And then I find season 6 would have been the perfect season to wrap things up. Like perfect. You wrap things up, you're moving on. By then, season 6 would have done, and then you get Superman and Lois coming to recall everything. And
Yeah,
you have a new look and a new style and everything like that. But the show could have end.
have a
I
plan. Marvel has a plan. They have a plan. Why they have a plan?
That's a different story, right? You know the game called it. Yeah, but well, as I say, yeah, because but the thing is, they did. Here's the thing: on paper, they did the things that I like, which was on paper they did season 4 exactly like I thought they should have done season 4, and they really messed up season 4 in my opinion. Season 4 was so bad,
Mm.
in my opinion at least. And then I was like, all right, well, I don't write off season 5 and any kind of season 6 from there, and then yeah, show only got good from there on in. As I say, the show is only good like 1 and 2, right? Really only one. Like 2 was still kind of normal. Like yeah, nothing about this surprising. Nothing about this interesting because like they just had to move on from the show. You know, you, life goes on, and then Superman and Lois show that's kind of a wrap on everything. To be honest, you know, like nobody gonna like want anything but that from here on in because the quality's so good. Like unless they're
Yeah.
rebooting Flash to look like that and have that level of money and thing maybe. But like Superman and Lois is a lot clearly it's a lot of money. It look like the CBS material. Like
Mm.
remember when CBS had Krypton and it had like some
Yes.
decent
Yeah.
right there. That's kind of what we get. And like the probability of them getting multiple shows like that is higher. Like you see until until fourth season they had to run down to the ground. Rule of thumb with these shows there, fourth season is always be the trash season. And then from there on in it breakdown. But Smallville is the same thing.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Smallville is the same thing. Same trap. I like nah boy, look at that Dutch job. But we're moving on.
Yeah,
Next.
moving on, right? So sticking with DC for one more time now. Let's finally talk about Batman: The Long Halloween, parts one and two.
Yeah.
This is based off of one of the most celebrated graphic novels of the Batman franchise. I honestly have not read it. I was planning to, but time just caught up with me, right? But I know of its impact. I know of its legacy. I know it
Yeah.
inspired the Dark Knight. Even while I was
Pretty much.
watching this, I was like, yeah, this is where Nolan drew inspiration from. And I love how he did it
But
so subtly, but it's like, oh, that's where you get this from. Where you get that from? All right, cool, cool, cool. You know what I mean?
both
I know it. Sorry.
yeah, both Dark Knight and Batman Begins have a lot of stuff from.
Yeah, exactly. Like I know it was referencing like Arkham Asylum, and it's just again just a very popular graphic novel, and rightfully so. Just me seeing the story play out for the first time, right? But Ricardo, take it away in a nutshell. What is the Long Halloween about?
All right. So somebody, his nickname is Holiday, right? Is murdering people like a bunch of gangsters and big important types on, but he only murdering people on holidays for some reason. We'll put that he in quotes, right? And uh, basically, Holiday is figure that just Batman can't solve the problem. Batman can't solve the problem. We're not sure what's going on. Why is this happening? They had to figure it out, and then basically they have a bunch of suspects, and that's where the story builds from this. Batman had to go around asking a bunch of villains and getting Harvey Dent on the case to solve the problem, and that's pretty much it. It's setting up this whole situation of solving the holiday crimes and making sure you get they solve the all the fallout from the holiday crimes as well, right? That's pretty much what going on.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will. Okay. Well, since you're clearly familiar with the source material, as a first timer into the Long Halloween, I'll just share my quick thoughts on it. Right. I thoroughly enjoyed this adaptation here. I would say that this is clearly one of the best DC animated not just Batman films, but just films period that we've gotten. I was like so impressed by the animation in this though, the visuals in particular, so well done. I could tell it's very much inspired by by comic books themselves, right? It just has this distinct noirish look to it. Like every frame just looks just immaculate in my opinion, right? The voice acting I thought was just
Good.
amazing, just
Excellent.
across the board though.
Yeah.
From Jensen Ackles, I think that's how he pronouncces his name, who plays Batman,
Yeah.
to Josh Duhamel, who just blew it out the water for me, as Two Face though, you know what I mean? And even like I think it's Troy Baker who they got to play Joker. Like I
Yeah.
thought like I was like, what if it was Mark Hamill? But I was like,
Yeah. You're
it,
stepping into Hamlet a little too much. A
yeah,
little
he
too
was stopping a little bit,
yeah,
but I know it's not
he
him.
was really doing his own thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. And just how the story played out as well. Especially in terms of who this mysterious killer is though.
Right.
Had me on edge though. Like I just did really was impressed by the twists and turns, right? What I
Yeah.
particularly dug though was the time spent on characterization and just having characters talk, right? So this is not some just all out action fest, right? There's moments of drama, there's moments of tension, and just setting up this dark and grim world. 'Cause, yeah, I would say that. I mean, I know you've had lots of Batman films, and many people could kind of come and tell me, well, no, this show is a lot darker than this one, right? But this one I felt was really, really dark and very appropriate as well too. I love the pacing in this, especially how they use holidays, to set these moments up. That's all we'll say.
Yeah.
And I just love how this establishes world of these gangsters. There. So it's Carmine Falcone, I mean one of the famous mobsters in the Batman universe, right? And his war against a rival gang and all that kind of stuff. And just how things just take it. What I really particularly dug is how it took its time. It wasn't like just rushing, headlong into plot points and all that kind of stuff. It took its time, right? It really capitalized on its old part one and part two structure, which I really dug. Um, I would admit though that I prefer the first one over the second one. I don't know,
Uh,
it's just kind of weird how though, because I know it's the same story, but I was just like really impressed of how the pacing and how the story was told in part one. Two was all right. You just kind of waited to see who the character is. And one thing though, I mean, this is because yeah, I always have to remind myself of this too, because it's a graphic novel and because it's based on the world of Batman. Yes, they will throw all these other like characters like villains now. And at times you might be like, well, okay, what is character doing here? What is character doing there? But they justify it as well too. So it's one of those things you just had to kind of understand. It's it's not just one story. It's like how much I think it ran for like about 9 issues or something like that. So yes, they're not just gonna focus on like one, two villains. You know what I mean? Somebody will show up, somebody else will come in, and all that kind of stuff, right? And I thought that they did that well. It was just for me, I was like, all right, I didn't expect to see you in this, I didn't expect to see you in this. Okay, okay, all right, all right. And at times I might feel like, all right, well, you needed to be there, but still, it's the story being told, right? I have to judge it like that. Like this was how it was told. I have no clue what was changed from the source material. Maybe you could fill me on that too. But I thought that what we got here was solid for the most part, and I was just really impressed by how they really went out of their way to just really flesh the story out, though. Um, I don't really have that much gripes to be honest, though. Well, except like I see, just not expecting certain characters and just kind of wondering if the character was supposed to be in it or not. But I will admit at times, just ever so, just not all the time, but just one or two times, so it could feel like the pace is a little on the slow end of things. We like we just have to have these dialogue scenes or there's characters talking, and I understand why, right? But at times, or I should say very rarely, I would say it does kind of slow things down just a little bit, right? But other than that though, the voice acting just kept me on point. The visuals in particular, the action scenes themselves very well handled. I felt like the first one in particular had some awesome fight scenes in though. Like one particular took place in China. I was like, okay, all right, movie. Okay, do you think? Do you think? And last thing I'll say though, like yeah, you could tell that One Animation spending money on this one, but yeah, they did not half-ass this at all though. Like it really did look and feel as if like yeah, we want to make this competent looking film, really make it polished, really make it look as professional as possible though. And yeah, this really truly impressed me though. So I would say just right off the bat, I'll get to rate it in the end though. Yeah, this is one of the most impressive DC animated films I've
yeah,
seen in like a long while. Though. I'll put this up there with I would put this up there with Under the Red Hood. You know what I mean, like stuff like that. Though. And I would say just lastly, though, this to me is how you handle a classic graphic novel or a classic Batman story. You're not doing like the killer joke thing where you add a certain scene, you talk about, for shock value and whatnot and for edginess. No, you tell your story, you make it as well as you can do it. You don't have to add any extra BS to it, and you tell a story and you go. That's it. And
right.
yeah, I have nothing but praise for this one. I'm not in absolute awe and love of this one though, but that's just personal bias, but for me, yeah, this is one of the most impressive DC animated films I've seen in years, actually. Yeah. So, Ricardo, your thoughts were?
Yeah, I dug the hell out of this as well. I thought it was great. It's just I am a kind of a fan of Long Halloween, but I don't love it anywhere near as much as other people seem to. It's one of those where it's great and you understand it's you understand why it's great in its timing, but I kind of came to it too late, so I didn't really appreciate it as much as other people. But it's a great story, and it does this it does its thing. The only thing I'll say about this is I felt the pacing was a little on the off with this one, little off. I felt they could have cut some stuff and either do flesh out some things more or don't do it at all. Like personally, even though it's a big part of the story, I'd have probably cut out some of the Joker stuff in it, to be honest. Or
Yeah,
like
I
some
agree. It felt like a diversion from the actual
yeah,
story in a sense. Yeah.
but that's kind of the point. The whole point is
Right.
that it was a big distraction and kind of a red herring to who Holiday was, kind of thing. And if I remember correctly, they changed the story in the comic. Like they changed who Holiday is, if I remember correctly. So it's kind of like what they do with Hush. Remember they had Batman Hush,
Right. Hmm.
and I kind of hated that. I thought we kind of fucked that up. but this they did an okay job of addressing it. What I liked about this is that it really felt like a more serious version of Batman the Animated Series. That's what this felt like.
Yes, yes, yes.
It
The oh gosh, the set design in particular had a very,
yeah
Batman the animated series,
yeah that
aesthetic to it now.
yeah, I forget what it's called it again, but that whole
Is that
tech.
neo noirish? Is
No, no,
some
no. Have a term for it. The
it
whole
have a term?
architecture.
I forgot the term. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, whole architecture term for it. It'll come
Mm.
to it. But yeah, yeah. I I um I dug it for it was it again from a production standpoint it is fantastic. Like editing decent. It pays other than the pacing itself, but the actual like scene to scene editing is very good. Fighting
Hmm.
and action is pretty good. You didn't have that obnoxious thing where you'll have this one horrible like fuck up in the animation they always do. Like
Oh
this how
yeah, like remember Bad Blood?
like
Yeah.
blood after that nonsense. Nah. It's conscientious, it's well made. Voice acting, great. I thought Troy Baker was really good. I thought with his Ackles was pretty good. Everybody's good. I think if I remember correctly, I think the actress for Catwoman she died in real life.
Yeah, I'm not Naya Rivera. Yeah, and
Yeah,
they pay did a RIP to her at the end of the
right,
first one, which was nice though. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it
But
was just
quick question. I was trying to remember if she ever played Catwoman in any other DC animated film before.
I
I
have
had
no
to do
idea.
some research, but
Yeah,
I
I
doubt
don't
it.
check. I don't check
Right.
these things or no, that's the whole point of it. I don't know. But yeah, overall it was still well done. I just dug. No, we could debate if this could have been two. If this needed to be two parts, I would say
I would
yes.
say yes. Yes,
Yeah,
it needed to be. Yeah.
but
Tell the story, but take your time with it. Don't
yeah,
rush it.
but at the same time, they need to chop some stuff. But White Works is that it just is good mob family drama. Like it has White Works. It's not about Batman so much. They kept to the kind of what makes Batman originally core work now, which is this mob story and that's the mob tragedy family of playing themselves out and why it is they died out. And it's really sad and unfortunate how that whole thing played itself out. And they make it work. Some of the moments it's kind of clumsy of why some of them died. Like the last daughter, I find out that was a little bit of a stretch of why she died. However, uh,
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
but overall, I dug what the hell it was, what he was doing with it. The whole the fall of Harvey Dent that works. That again, if you watch Dark Knight, you know exactly why that played itself out. Um,
Yeah. Well, speaking
didn't
of
make
that though, like this show, or I should say, like when I saw the moment happen, right? You know the moment, right? If you're familiar with the character, I was like, wow, Joel Schumacher, like just feel to show that, 'cause he did something similar in Batman Forever, and I watching this thing play out, I like, what
yeah,
were you doing? What was that? That was horrible. Or we'll
it's,
say it was in a news report and it just looked bad. That's all we'll say.
yeah, real trash. But in the thing in the Dark Knight, they have a very similar scene, very identical scene, but it was with a gun, and the gun didn't work, and
Yes.
they switch it out and do a double flip on it if anybody familiar with Long Halloween, and then come with a different reason as to why he lose half his face. And I
Mhm.
thought that it has lent to the testament of why Nolan did a pretty good job with those first two Batman movies, right? Um, but as I said, this was just good. It's just very competent, really well done. Nothing to complain about or anything. They didn't change too much. They just changed enough. The reveal in the ending of who Holiday was, I like that. It worked. I kind of figured out who Holiday was when the fella talked to her, like the father. When the father
Oh,
mentioned something, like, okay, yeah, we know who Holiday is.
yeah, I
I,
kind of figured it out after the fact though. I'll confess.
and by by sheer process of elimination, you could have like eventually figure it out. Because by the time they reveal when Holiday is not Harvey, you're like, all right, that's it. Like I know who it is. That's it. It could
Yeah,
only be one.
I,
But
I I do I do like how the show did that though. It just kept you guessing who this character is though. Yeah.
yeah, but they make it work. Just a good mystery. I like how Batman play himself out. For what it is. And yeah, I dug the hell out of this. Yeah. Rating quick, 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. Not a 9, but still pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, right. That's it. They make it work. I dug the hell out of it. For what it is, it's just really competent. It didn't stick with me. Not, I don't think it was as good as Red Hood or even up there with that. It just
Oh
very,
no,
very
no,
competent.
no, no. Unfortunately, no. Red Hood is still heads and shoulders above this. Just see it.
Yeah, but I just
Agree to disagree, right?
By that, I just dug the hell out of it. I just thought it was really well done, and it worked for what it was. Yeah, 8 out of 10 positives. I really enjoyed it. Had a couple of issues with the pacing here there, but it worked. I dug it.
Right. For
Yeah,
me, I'll give this a decent, strong 4 to 5, man. I think that this is one. If you've been a fan of these animated films, you'll enjoy them. We like we've had our issues with with these films, especially the Sam Liu directed ones.
yeah,
Sorry, no disrespect. But nah, this one just came through with just a well fleshed out, well thought out story, some superb animation, superb voice acting. Um, and just professionalism throughout it. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel, like we just had to capitalize on, some character being big because of some live action film or whatnot. You know what I mean? It just took this great story, took its time, and just played it out, right? I will, seek out the source material. I will read it for myself, but in no way am I gonna like judge it and be like, well, like why did it do this? Like, how did it in the old book, whatever it is? No, I like it's an adaptation, right? You have to treat it like that. So, I hope that we get more films like this. Hopefully with other characters. I don't want it to just be Batman graphic novels all the time. Like, give me some, I don't know, Green Lantern or Wonder Woman stuff. It'll be never softer, right? But yeah, this is a step in the right direction as far as Warner Animation goes, as far as like DC animated films go. And yeah, I hope that the next film or films will be of this caliber, man. So I can't wait.